Hi, I'm Chris from airwindows, and I'm bringing you something that has been part of airwindows lore for many years but hasn't come out yet. This is my space manipulator, Wider. Here's how Wider works. You got your widths and your center controls, which are obviously kind of like mid-side, but it's not just only mid-side. There is a saturation behavior going on and timing. And what you get is kind of like this. You can get much wider or much narrower. And it's possible to manipulate it in a very interesting way. But that's not all. We also have the center control, so it can bring stuff up there, or pull it back. How this is working is it's operating using processing much like density, the plugin density. And I can show you that quite briefly through, see, here's density. If I turn this off and I show you what this works like, density has these properties. If you go denser, it's sort of like a tube-like enhancement effect. It's very smooth, but stuff is coming forward. Whereas, if you go to much lower densities, it's a thinning out effect, and stuff goes backwards, sounds farther away. Forward, backwards. Also, the guts of the sound are changed as well. So when you enable wider, you've got the center coming forward or falling backward. Same for the width, same for the sides. Forward, backward. Now the spatial shaping of this is rather extreme. The original version of Wider, way back in the day, did not have dry wet because it doesn't make any sense, because it's manipulating time and stuff, but people love dry wet so much I thought I would add it. Let's listen to what it does together, because I've not experimented with this much. Now let's skip around a bit. And sometimes you might want to lean out a center because it has a big enormous bass thing in there or something. Let's throw this to all wet. You can starve it completely, or you manipulate it in various ways. Then dry, wet. Listen to where that keyboard is over on the side. in, dry, or we can combine them. The heart of this plugin is doing things like funny little adjustments in, say, mastering. If you're wanting to, here's a drum kit. Supposing you're wanting to play with the drum kit. 0, 0, 0. We'll listen to it and make some decisions on the shape and overall soundstage of it, such as it is, because it's just a drum jam. It's like a little drum solo, only not good. And what we can hear is we've got a lot of exaggerated wideness going on, and a fairly substantial kick in the center. Let's exaggerate that a bit. And then let's narrow it a bit. And doing this, we can convert it from a very spread out kind of image to a more confined one. Or we could do the other thing. We could go the other way. Let's take it and make it wider. Not much of a suck out in the center because we still want the kick drum to be there. But we can wrap it right around. This is the kind of stuff we can do using wider. Or indeed, let's go back to our zeros again. 0, 0. And we'll go into empty pictures, which I know is a very centered and not very wide thing. So in this, it's got a very sort of heavy, big center image. You can see down here in the correlation meter that it's mostly very correlated. So let's take some of the center out. Let's put it more in context. And then let's listen to these side guitars and see what we can make of them. Now what we've got there is very much the same type of mix, and it's not stepping on it or changing it around in any crazy and radical way, but I've been able to make the side guitars perk up just a little bit more, and I've pulled back some of that super heavy bassy centrality of it. So what we get is before, after. Might not be the most exaggerated, outrageous effect in the world, but part of the design of wider is to not be noticed, to be able to take the spatiality and enhance it in ways that don't sound like it's being enhanced. And it's certainly not only about stereo widening, which is why it's got the two controls and they both have a full spectrum of widen or boost and cut, bring forward and pull back. So the whole idea is to take the shape of the soundstage of whatever it is you're manipulating and think about, is this center area too up front? Is it coming forward at me too much? We'll pull it back with the center. Are the sides sitting back, or do I want them to come forth and be more enveloping? In that case, you might want to push the width up a little bit, and you probably don't have to crank it like a maniac, nor should you. This is the one for doing nice, subtle changes on stuff that's supposed to still sound good when you're done. I hope you like wider. This is supported by my Patreon. I've been talking about Patreon in recent weeks. I don't think I need to beat it into the ground. And Wider is, as these other plugins are, free for the taking, and AUVSD and Mac, Windows, and Linux. I support the widest range that I can within the area that I'm working. And I love it when people who are getting lots of use out of this stuff jump on the Patreon and behave as if they're buying a certain number of plugins a year. Because honestly, people are capable of buying lots of plugins a year. And why should I be left out just because I'm giving them to you? But if you're poorer than me, then by all means take everything and use it. Or heck, no matter who you are, take everything and use it and settle it up with me later. Figure out how you feel about all of this. Because what I want most of all is to bring these tools to people who need them in a way where you don't have to think about what it is, where you got it, how many months you've had it, none of that. You shouldn't have to think about that stuff. These will not expire, they won't go away, they won't break. They support, like Macintoshes back to PPC days, and they support Windows VSD back as late as I can do them. I'm not exactly sure how old they support back to, but that's the idea. They're built on a Windows 7 virtual box, and my hope is that they are real adaptable as much as humanly possible. Wider is the most recent expansion of all of that, and I think it's a very useful little building block that people can have fun with when they're trying to dial in spatiality in a real fussy way. And again, this is not one where I think it should be used for wild, crazy, exaggerated stuff. My idea of wider is for doing these little adjustments, like, minus 0.1 here and, plus 0.3 there, and maybe a little dry while you're at it if you really want to fiddle with it even more. It should be possible to do some very useful sonic space sculpting using this tool. And yeah, I hope you like it. I liked making it, and I especially like bringing it to you. So I'll talk to you later.